All right. Let's proceed with the resolutions that were decided upon at the closed meeting. Yes, we can do so now. So I need some. Be it resolved, Mr. Mayor, that the closed session be called to an end. Yes, seconded by Councillor Zant. Now we dealt with two resolutions. Be it resolved that Town Council accept the hiring of Mr. Jonathan Desmarais and Roch Séguin as volunteer firefighters as of January 2017, and be it resolved that they be subjected to probation period for a 1 year time limit, and that their pay be pegged at level 1 of the non-unionized salaried employees. All those in favor carried them. That's fine, thank you. Are you ready for the second recommendation? Yes. Be it resolved that Town Council accept the hiring of Mr. Eric Ouellet and Richard Gélineau as patrol officers, and that their salaries be pegged at level 1 of the unionized employees salary grid. All those in favor? Carried then. So at the end of the meeting, we need to go back to the closed meeting to revisit other subject matters. Thank you. Announcements. Are there any announcements to be made? I have one announcement, Mr. Mayor. Yes. On the 14th of January next at the Optimists Performance Hall, located at the Lescage School, there will be a launching of the official launch of the Impact Drug Prevention Program. We received an email because of this yesterday. Now, within Prescott and Russell, as of the 16th of December, there were 89 cases of overdoses, of drug overdoses. Last year, there were only 15 overdoses. Now, this program needs to be implemented in schools because the situation is deteriorating. Well, Guy Lafleur also gave out $2,000 to have this particular program developed to meet the needs of students. So that's going to be on the 14th of January at the Optimist Performance Hall at 1:30 in the afternoon. I also have another announcement on the 14th of January at 5 p.m. There will be an official launching of the Joy Club that is organized by the, or that is set up or implemented by the Optimists Club. I myself would like to thank Mr. Guillemard and Mr. Levin for having invited me to attend the CIMAR as well as the Mathieu residence, as well as the owners of the Bellerive residence. So I didn't even have to have lunch or have supper during that particular day. Our residents do receive excellent services that are from staff at all of those residences. Mr. Mayor, also the meals that were served to you were prepared locally. Yes, I expected to eat 3 turkey meals, but I had a pizza, a Saint-Hubert barbecue, and a turkey lunch on that particular day. We obtained also an extraordinary price from Jumbo Pizza on that day, over and above what we expected, that allowed us to offer a much better choice for residents, and we were able to serve a greater quantity of food to all residents during the holiday period. Next item, question period. I don't believe that anyone will be asking any questions of Town Council tonight, so next item on the agenda, Mr. Guillemard. Yes, be it resolved that Town Council mandate Town Administration to implement training sessions with regards to oral presentations offered to employees that are called upon to give oral presentations within the confines of their duties prior to June of 2017. Yes, thank you. Consent items. Are there any items that you'd wish to withdraw from the list? I need someone to read this. Mr. Levin, in English or in French? Yes, be it resolved that the following items identified as being consent items that are set at the regular meeting agenda be adopted. 10.1, adoption of the following meetings. A regular meeting of Town Council of December 5th, 2016, as well as the adoption of the minutes of the Committee of the Whole of December the 5th, 2016. Also, the receipt of the minutes of the following meetings: Planning Committee meeting of October the 5th, 2016, Planning Committee meeting of November the 2nd, 2016, receipt of the minutes of the CRT Advisory Committee meeting of September 27, 2016, the CRT Advisory Committee meeting of October 24th, 2016, and the adoption of the minutes of the Library Board meeting of November 15, 2016. Also, the following recommendations from Committee of the Whole of December 19, 2016, the authorization to develop a topography plan for Laurier Street, appointment of a member to the Off-Leash Dog Park Advisory Committee. Also, item C, authorization to transfer from the reserve fund for emergency work at the Clarence Creek Arena. D, authorization to purchase a used grader from a sole source. Councillor Guillemard? Yes, seconded by Councillor Guillemard, that's fine. So all those in favor? Carried then, thank you. Let's go on now to salaries paid, item 10.4 on the agenda. Items, or should I say salaries paid. Be it resolved that the salaries paid for the period of the 6th of October running until the 3rd of December 2016 in the gross amount of $796,000 and a net amount of $723,080.71 be accepted as recommended. Seconded by Councillor Guillemard. Any questions? All those in favor then? Carried. Let's go on now to committee and staff reports. Item 11.1. Be it resolved that the accounts paid from the 12th of November to the 9th of December in the amount of $3,082,311.22 be adopted as recommended. Seconded by Councillor Simoneau. Any questions? Councillor Simoneau. Mr. Keogh. You don't have to answer tonight, but can you please clarify all the hanky-panky that's going on with regard to the Stinson account this month? There were about 4 or 5 instances of credits, or I hope they were overcharging us and not undercharging us, and we had to credit them an amount. There must be a simple reason, please. Respond to the questions that were forwarded to you by all councillors. Councillor Guillemard, Mr. Mayor, page 5, our electronic documents. I'm dealing here with an update. We reimbursed a performance deposit to Max Convenience Store, a $5,000 amount. That's the building, I believe, that's located at the corner of Notre Dame and Laurier Street, that incurred important damages. Now, it's been a year that we haven't had any news of this, and now we're reimbursing a performance deposit with regard to this. Can we find out if they're rebuilding, and if so, when? Because, it's been fenced for a long period of time. It'd be great to find out what's happening. Yes, Councillor Ladon. Yes, page 7, La Pointe Terrain or municipal property. This is an invoice of $4,051.05. Are we dealing here with a municipal property? Yes, this is work that was performed on municipal ditches there. I see. Well, thank you very much then. Another question I had, Mr. Mayor, dealt with Nortrack Canada Inc., $8,403. That expenditure appears on page 24. Isn't that the landfill machinery that's being used? Well, we're dealing here with the repair of a grader unit. Yes, we repaired our grader. Well, $8,000 is quite a sizable amount to pay for a repair. Well, it's a pump gasket. Well, the repairs performed on 6 injectors and a front end loader. How much does that cost, sir? Well, your guess is as good as mine, I guess. All right then. So, someone had to ask the question, I guess. I'm just teasing, Councilor. I'm sorry. Councilor Lalonde, you had a question. Page 33, Mr. Mayor. I have a question with regard to a GS Lalonde invoice for $6,225 with regard to repairs to a grader. Now, we voted on a bylaw as of the 31st of November, and this invoice was submitted to us in the month of October. Well, yes, he worked on this grader in October. These are not standby fees we're paying. No, this is maintenance of gravel roads, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, these expenditures were incurred prior to the implementation of the new bylaw. So these October fees deal with work that was performed prior to the implementation of the bylaw to it in October. Any other questions? Mrs. Collier? I do have questions with regard to inquiries that come to council. We've been responding back to you. What we'd like to do is to bring those responses back to at the next council meeting, so they're in the public venue. For example, Mr. Simoneau's question this evening gets asked, but the answer is not in the public domain. So we'd like to put it back on the council agenda so that the answers appear in a public forum also. Well, the contract with regard to the grader dates back to the 31st of April. Yes, Councilor Lalonde, but that deals with snow removal. This particular contract deals with snow removal. Don't we use this grader to clean up streets also and vacuuming dust or sandy dust on sidewalks? Well, our grader would be used to put the gravel there. We needed to contract this gentleman to perform work on another road that had other problems. So that's not part of the contract that we had with him, was it? No. It's over and above. I see. Well, thank you very much then. All those in favor? Carried. St. Joseph Street. We're canceling the whole thing. Well, you are kidding, of course, I hope, Mr. Mayor. Whereas, Committee of the Whole received the report from the department on the 3rd of October 2016 to award the contract of the St. Joseph Street construction. And whereas, the Committee of the Whole rejected the department's report and issued a directive to go back to tender. And whereas, the department proposes to reduce the scope of work to be performed to obtain savings, and because STP excavation came up with the lowest tender, be it further resolved that council retain WSP Engineering Inc. to provide the required inspection services and contract to a respected limit of $75,000, and be it also resolved that the council be amended to $2.3 million and that the additional funding be provided through the issuance of debt. So seconded by Councillor Simard. Any questions? Mr. Mayor, just a question as to this. A while back we met and we addressed the Laurier Street matter, you know, that stretch of road leading on to St. Joseph Street. We need a laneway that allows cars to turn right. Now, I took a look at the number of cars traveling along Laurier Street right up to St. Joseph. There are 2,761 cars, and there are 7,000 some odd cars past a certain time per day. That means there are over and above 7,000 cars making use of this turn on a daily basis. Well, anyways, there are some that take the National Bank parking lot to. You see, there's an entranceway leading onto La Violette Street, that doesn't delay the traffic or the flow of traffic. Mr. Mayor, I have no problem with the project as it stands, but however, if we redo or rework those changes on Laurier Street, we reopen the environmental impact study that was commissioned. We reopened this whole issue. Well, we'd have to vote upon this before considering any changes. I have nothing against this, Mr. Mayor. The fact remains that the meeting that we had with well, Richard Campo had attended at that point in time, and I'm not too sure if Rob had not attended at that particular meeting either. That meeting was held at the conference center, and everyone said that we were going to look into it. Now, the property there is owned by us right up to the sign erected by Mr. Eric Lalonde that is owned by him. Well, I believe that Mr. Lalonde raises a very good point. I think we should think that this should be, I think that we should make this a priority, because if those statistics hold true, it would be feasible to, increase the efficiency of traffic flow. I know that there's a part in French and part in English with regard to the resolution. You know, in the be it resolved provisions, there was one paragraph missing in one language or the other. So let me read all those three. Be it resolved. Be it resolved that Town Council adopted bylaw 2016-119, authorizing the mayor and the clerk to grant an excavation and construction program so that construction and excavation project in the amount of $1,781,700, excluding TPS, be performed on Laurier Street, and also be it resolved that Town Council approve the services of WSB Inc., that those services be retained up to a maximum amount of $75,000 to oversee those works, and be it resolved that Town Council increase the project budget from $1,200,000 to $2,100,000, and that additional funding stem from the issuance of municipal debt. All those in favor then carried. Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to underline the efforts put forward by town employees to make this project more appealing to all of us. And I encourage them to continue on with their good efforts. And I'm inciting them to continue coming up with savings. Mr. Darch, Mrs. Collier, please note. All right, let's go on now to bylaws. Oh, I'm sorry. News of the carnival, the winter carnival. Mr. Lalonde, that falls under your purview, does it not? The winter carnival? Well, if we don't have any carnivals, especially around the Clarence Creek area, things are going to be rather drawn out and dulled. Be it resolved that the Council of Clarence and Rockland thereby support the Clarence Creek's Lions Club for all carnival related projects, and that we support them in obtaining a special events permit from the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. All those in favor? Carried. I'd just like to mention this here. Mr. Lalonde, this is an event that comes back year after year, and I don't see why we ask for this at the very last minute, year in and year out. Maybe we could relay this message to those good folks that this request be made to us as of September or October. So, Mr. Lalonde, you've had the message. You know, we don't like to deal with last minute items. Let's go on now to municipal bylaws, or consent items, by the way. Are there any bylaws that you wish to remove from the list of bylaws? None? Fine then. Well, be it resolved that the following bylaws be adopted. Bylaw 2016-120, being a bylaw to execute an amendment to the CIHA Operations Agreement. Item 12.2, bylaw number 2016-139, being a bylaw to regulate open-air fires. Item 12.3, bylaw number 2016-152, to authorize borrowing for current expenditures. Item 12.4, bylaw number 2016-153, being a bylaw to appoint Diane Charlebois as Deputy Clerk. Item 12.5, bylaw number 2016-160, being a bylaw for the designation of lands not subject to part lot control, dealing with the Clarence Crossing area. Item 12.6, bylaw number 2016-161, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement with a school board, the CDSBEO, the Separate School Board Association. Item 12.7, bylaw number 2016-162, a bylaw being to authorize the execution of agreements with the United Counties of Prescott-Russell for each daycare. And item 12.8, bylaw number 2016-163, being a bylaw to designate Jubilee Park as heritage under the Ontario Heritage Act. Item 12.9, bylaw number 2016-169, being a bylaw to authorize the signature of the QP collective agreement. Item 12.10, bylaw number 2016-170, being a bylaw to authorize the interim tax rate. 12.11, bylaw number 2016-173, being a bylaw to dedicate public Block 3650M-366. 12.12, bylaw number 2016-175, being a bylaw to establish the working conditions, benefits, and salary scales for the non-unionized employees. Seconded by Councillor Zant. All those in favor? Carried, then. Thank you. Go on now to the confirmatory bylaw. Be it resolved that the Town Council of the City of Clarence and Rockland adopted bylaw 2016-176, being a confirmatory bylaw for all proceedings of the regular meeting of Town Council of December the 19th, 2016. By the way, I believe that we voted to close the special meeting. Well, you caught us with our pants down then. Yes, I'm taking a look at the time, and it's we're close to reopening the special meeting. So before going on to the special meeting, our fire chief is here tonight, and I can see the excitement in his face after seeing all the excitement at this table. He's just waiting to say a word. And Mrs. Collier, could you introduce us to our new fire chief, please? Yes, I'm introducing you to Mr. Brian Wilson, who has joined our team as Director of Protective Services as well as Fire Chief. He has arrived on a rather frigid day, but he's not shy, of course, to the temperatures here because he's from Moose Jaw, and he's landed in from Moose Jaw. Of course, that's not unusual weather for him, so we've had a very busy first day. We made sure that he got acquainted with staff and his new office, and he brings in a vast experience with a number of fire services in Western Ontario. And Mr. Wilson also has extensive experience with emergency management, a very high level of training, and has provided volunteer emergency management services in some third world countries. So we look forward to working with Mr. Wilson. He has a lot of commitments to meet this week, and his feet certainly will be wet by Wednesday. So welcome to our neck of the woods, to our city. All right then. Resolution to reopen the special meeting of council. So at 7:50 p.m., seconded by Councillor Grima. All those in favor? So we'll wrap this up with the last subject matter to be dealt with, item 5.7. Chief Administrative Officers, performance review, and the landfill matter. Fine.